Bread Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee here, and this is episode 102 of the WrestleBread Podcast. So we got AEW Revolution coming up this Sunday. We also had a very, very good and interesting week of wrestling. We got a bunch of news that's coming out as well, and so let's get started. First of all, I forgot to mention that I forgot to talk about the whole state of play that came out last week from PlayStation. I am a PlayStation person. Sorry to the people who are the Xbox people. Nothing against, people who like Xbox. It's just not for me. Wasn't as exciting as I thought it, it wasn't exciting as other PlayStation events are. It was mainly about games that we knew was already coming out. And of course, they always had to end. PlayStation always end with a bang. So they came out. And if you don't know this by now, it's been a week. So sorry, not sorry. They have new DLC basically for Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was a complete surprise. I don't really keep up with gaming news and rumors because I like to be surprised whenever I watch these things. And so chef's kiss, love it. The upgrades that's coming when you play on PlayStation 5. I did beat Final Fantasy VII, but I'm going for the trophy, for the Platinum Trophy, so I'm going to play it on hard, and something told me to just hold off, because I was thinking about, starting to stream on Twitch and stuff like that, but then I was like, I have the podcast, so I'd rather just put that energy into the podcast, that way I can just, play video games whenever I want to play video games, instead of sticking to, a very strict schedule and, things like that. And so, luckily I held off playing on hard mode because now I can play once I get the upgrade for PlayStation 5 and get to experience the whole story all over again with better graphics. And, of course, play the DLC until we get, episode 2 of the Final Fantasy Remake, which probably be 10 years from now, the way that Square Enix likes to play. Also, I'm loving WandaVision. Like I said, I wasn't the biggest Marvel fan growing up. I like some Marvel characters, but I loved more of the DC characters. But, with the Marvel Universe, the movies that's going on definitely drew me in as a fan. I'm not one of those people that picks a side and then, sticks to the side and become no, I was like that with WWE when I was younger. However, I've grown up and I'm more open-minded than I was back then. And so I respect when someone is doing something good on the opposite side, quote unquote. So I'm enjoying what Marvel has to offer with these movies and stories that's intertwining. And I love when a movies tell a good story and it's good action. So I've been watching WandaVision, and with the previous episode, I'm not going to give out any spoilers, but very emotional episode. I don't read the comics of Marvel, so there's people who I don't really know who they were, but, I'm appreciative of the fact that it's explaining who people are to people who don't read the comics. And then we also have Coming to America coming out this weekend. Coming America 2. I am going to watch it with the hubs. We'll see what happens with that. I like the first one. I have some expectations that I'll at least laugh with the second one, but I'm just hoping that, they don't do what they do with these remakes and try to keep it up with today's standards and add dumb stuff like they did with Selena. I refuse to watch that. I think it's on Netflix. That I refuse to watch that series because nothing could top the movie from back in the 90s. So going into some news and some rumors that's going on in WWE and AEW. First of all, NXT is moving on Tuesdays. Don't know when this move is coming, but what people, aren't really reading into is that they're not moving because of AEW. They're moving to Tuesdays because hockey would be a lot better on Wednesdays because if I read correctly, NBC Sports Network is canceling, and so the hockey games are going to move to USA. And USA wants to play the hockey games on Wednesdays versus probably any other day. So with that, NXT is moving to Tuesdays, which makes life a hell of a lot better. As much as people love the whole, Wednesday night wars, like I always say, it's not a war. No one's winning because both shows barely hit 1 million viewers each week. But I love the move to Tuesdays because it's a lot easier for those of us who like both companies, who like to watch both shows. That way I can watch Raw, NXT, AEW Dynamite, boom, podcast. Makes life a lot easier versus, trying to watch NXT during the day, whatever. I can actually, use Tuesdays to watch NXT. And yeah, you have Impact and stuff like that going on. Impact is mainly on YouTube and it's on Twitch, so you can catch Impact at any point. Whereas though NXT, you either gotta wait the next Thursday night for NXT, or you watch a condensed version like I've been doing on Hulu, which isn't a lot of fun. But I can't wait for NXT to move to Tuesdays. I'm hearing that it's supposed to be moved on Tuesdays the week of WrestleMania. And I forgot who tweeted it out, but it was a wrestling insider who tweeted out the schedule that's going to happen the week of WrestleMania. So apparently it's Raw Monday, NXT Tuesday, AEW Dynamite Wednesday. Thursday is allegedly NXT TakeOver. Friday is SmackDown. Saturday, night 1 of WrestleMania. Sunday, night 2 of WrestleMania. Monday, Raw after Mania. Tuesday, NXT. Wednesday, AEW Dynamite. So that is like a week and a half of wrestling. And I'm sure, a lot of the podcasters and people who like to watch wrestling, we're going to be tired as all hell. I took off the day after. I didn't take off the day after WrestleMania. I took off my birthday, which is the Friday before WrestleMania. I sometimes I used to take the Monday after WrestleMania off, back when it was all on one day and you're sitting there watching wrestling for it felt like 8 hours and it ends at 12 o'clock. And I remember I was like, I'm taking off the Monday after WrestleMania from now on because I'm not doing it. But last year with them, having it night 1 and night 2, it was a lot easier to watch, truthfully. You're not exhausted by the end of the night. And I like the format. I really do. I like the format of the 2 days because the fans, they're not exhausted by the end of the end of the show, because they're sitting there, cheering and stuff like that for a good 5-6 hours. Speaking of WrestleMania, tickets are scheduled to go on sale next week. They're doing a soft sale just to make sure that there are no kinks in the system, which I definitely believe is a good idea, seeing as though it's only going to be, I think, 25,000 people in the stadium versus how they normally sell out 100,000 seats at one point. And so definitely got to work out the kinks, especially for them assholes who like to buy multiple tickets and then go and resell them on the market. Just like I think it happened with that's what happened with AEW. I think it was either the Dynamites or it was the pay-per-views went on sale and people just couldn't buy a ticket because people were buying them up and then reselling them for 3 times the price. Also with WrestleMania, everybody knows that WWE Network is moving over to NBC Peacock. We'll be able to catch Fastlane on the network and on Peacock. WWE Network is supposed to move over to Peacock starting on the 18th, but WrestleMania you can only watch through Peacock. And there's a lot of questions of like what the hell is going to happen when people are already subscribed. Is our subscription going to automatically move over to NBC Peacock? People who have gift cards, for example, who has a subscription for 6 months or so, what's going to happen with those? And so there was an FAQ that was released, but it didn't really answer all the questions. For people who are already subscribed, it was saying to keep your subscription, but it didn't really say what's going to happen. Are we going to get a reduced in price? Do we have to download the Peacock app in order to access it? I think you do have to download the Peacock app. What happens if you have a subscription with both apps? Like, are you going to drop one? Me, I canceled my network. My network is scheduled to be renewed on the 14th, and I figured I can survive 4 days without having the network, because I don't have a lot of hope that kinks are going to get worked out, especially if you don't have the answers, and we are like 14 days away from things getting switched over. It seems like things are kind of up in the air right now, and I guess when they get closer to the date that everything gets switched over, then they'll have the answers. But I'm not the type of person that kind of like waits. I rather get, I'd rather know my answer now so I know what's going to happen versus just putting, my little $11 in the hands of WWE. Another thing that has been going on that people were talking about is this Twitter battle of Randy Orton and Soulja Boy. So Soulja Boy had tweeted out randomly. He tweeted out on Saturday. He said, "Rap game faker than WWE." T-Bar was the one who said something first. He said, "Does the rap game takes years off your life and leave you with countless injuries and debilitating pain? Oh well, maybe just stick to super soaking holes or wherever it is you did 15 years ago." I don't know where T-Bar has been. I don't know how old T-Bar is, but I would imagine he is old enough to know about Tupac and Biggie and how the rap game took both of them out, and how there was this big old East Coast versus West Coast, and how even with today that there's people who getting shot and killed and arrested and all this other stuff. So, that tweet, he could have said it a little bit differently, but a lot of people tweeted back at T-Bar like a bunch of pictures of people who died in the wrestling game. Was like, yes, you could lose your life by being in rap. So, but then of course here comes Randall Orton, and he says, "Fake, dare this prick to step up. He don't like movies. Consider us actors that do stunts without pads 200 days a year, and don't bitch when we get surgically repaired and come right back. Consider us 100 times tougher than anyone you've come across. Ain't nothing but a bitch ass ... You can fill in the blanks, whatever it is he was about to say. A lot of people was sitting there like, "A bitch ass what, Randy?" I laughed at that. Like, I have a couple of guesses of what he was going to say. But then we have Soulja, who fired back. He said to T-Bar, "Get your wrestling ass on." But then he replied to Randy Orton. He said, "Do you know who the fuck I am? I'll bring the real to wrestling. Don't play with me, Randy Orton," with a bunch of ends and question marks. And he also said, "P.S. at San Benito," I think that's Bad Bunny. Yeah, that's Bad Bunny, "would beat the fuck out of you. Why? How? Because he's seen our world, respects it, and knows what it takes, and finds himself lucky to be a part of it. You want to talk fake? Pawn that cheap ass chain and come work for it, you one hit wonder ass motherfucker." Oh, that hurt. And that hurt Soulja Boy's feelings. Because, I remember when Soulja Boy, came out with the Crank That, and today he's pretty much known for the memes, the GIFs, and Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. And I didn't even know. I'm like, I don't even know if he put out albums since that one hit. And come to find out, because I knew on Love and Hip Hop he would go on tours, and I always wonder, like, are you the headliner on the tour, or are you the opening act or something like that? Like, are you doing, sort of like the tours that when we were younger, the singers of the 70s, 80s, they all get together and they go do tours and stuff like that. I'm like, are you doing that and you doing your one song or something? And I always wondered that. But anyway, back to the story. So then Randy Orton comes out and says, Crank That came out in '07. You had a hell of a year. Serious money. Here's the thing, though. I like rap. I bump that shit all day, whether it's Tuneki, Meek, Jay-Z, but you call what I do to survive fake? Fuck that. Come to my world and say that. Dare ya. And then Soldier says, you mad because I spit facts that just say that. What you do is fake and I stand on that. What I do is real. Come to your world. LOL. Welcome to Soldier World. And then of course people, chiming in about stuff like that. And then Randy Orton says, you spitting facts? Seems like all you spitting is the same mess you rap about. Nut. Clear your throat, dog, and be there. Enough talk. Back it up. And then Soulja Boy, then Bow Wow jumps in. Says, yo, Soulja Boy, these wrestlers are terrified. I've been giving them the business since I announced I was training. They so scared we gonna take all they shine. And then Soulja Boy laughed. And then he said, that's a fact though. Tell me why WWE in they feelings for gang. Wrestler or not, I'm sliding. And then he pulls up his net worth versus Randy Orton's net worth. So, his net worth is about, I think that said 30 million versus Randy Orton's 11 million. And so a lot of people came out and was upset at this whole beef and things like that. My take on it, and I know everybody gets upset when people say wrestling is fake, and I used to get upset too. But let's be real. And I'm gonna be real with y'all. I might make a few people mad, but I'm gonna keep it real. Wrestling isn't exactly real. It's scripted. The point of wrestling is to not hit your opponent. And whenever someone actually gets hit, we call it a botch. Full example of what happened with Asuka. Asuka got kicked square in her face. Her tooth came out. She was concussed. It was considered a botch. When Nia Jax square punched Becky Lynch square in her face, bloodied her nose, people was ready to attack Nia Jax when she did that. The whole point of, now, not saying that, when we get into the hardcore matches with the kendo sticks and the chairs and the ladders and things like that, yeah, that hurts. But if we're talking about like a regular basic match, we've seen plenty of times. You can go on to Botchamania, all the times that people go to punch and they completely miss you could tell that they hit nothing but air. But wrestling is scripted. Wrestling has predetermined winners. Wrestling is not based on skill. It's not based on who actually is the best, who's actually the toughest. Wrestling is all about who is the better draw, who is the company's favorite, who could bring in more money. Sometimes it's about what the fans want. Because you can't sit here and tell me that, if Rey Mysterio and Big Show would actually get into a actual fight, that, Rey Mysterio won't walk away scot-free. And the one time that they actually did something that was completely real was the Brawl for All, when they were actually boxing. And even with that, it was scripted. They had a predetermined winner. They wanted JBL to win, but unfortunately for them, Bart Gunn had hands. And because Bart Gunn had hands, he won the tournament. And then they got upset that he won the tournament and decided to bring in an actual boxer to knock him the fuck out. You can look that up if you don't know that story. Bart Gunn versus Butterbean. I forgot what year that was, but they decided to do a Brawl for All for some stupid ass reason. There's actually a Dark Side of the Ring about Brawl for All too. It was one of the worst decisions that WWE made. It really was, because they was trying, and it didn't work because they was trying to script it. WWE is not the same as UFC. I'm sorry to say. It's I'm not sitting here crapping on wrestling or anything or taking away from what people do. You can get injured in the ring. It's not fun. I don't wrestle. I never stepped in the ring. I never been backstage or anything like that. So no, I can't really speak too much on what goes on inside the ring, but I know that it's not a combat sport. Okay. Ronda Rousey didn't actually go in there and actually fought people. Okay. There is no bets really on WWE because the matches are not based on skill. Okay, because there are people in WWE who is very good at wrestling, okay, can out wrestle a lot of people who are at the top of the game, a lot of Hall of Famers and stuff like that, and they are at the best mid card in WWE. Same thing with AEW. All these people that get mad when someone say wrestling is fake and they want to say how real it is, stuff like that. Keep that same energy when you see Marco Stunt in the ring as well, okay? You can't sit there and get so upset when someone talks about whether wrestling is not a combat sport or real or fake and stuff like that, and then sit there and get upset about Marco Stunt. You really can't. You know what I mean? So, Marco Stunt, if this was an actual combat sport, Marco Stunt wouldn't have that much offense. Okay? And I always say, maybe like the element surprise, stuff like that. But after a while, you get your ass beat. Okay? You'll be seeing a lot more blood than you normally would. That's my take on this whole thing. I understand what Randy Orton was trying to say with the actors. And that's what I sometimes say. Like, I look at it as, he said something like stuntmen, they're more like stuntmen, but they are actors, especially on Raw and SmackDown. It's not even about wrestling. It's about who can act, who can cut a promo, who could be emotional, who could play the mean girl, who can do this storyline. It's not really about skill when it comes to the ring, unless you're talking about NXT. But I look at it as, acting. I look at it the same way as I would with movies, except for they actually, when it comes to like the hardcore matches, slamming onto the apron, slamming onto concrete floor and stuff like that. That's the only difference with me. So I don't get why are people always ready to trigger though with the whole wrestling is fake. It's not a sport. Everybody knows it's not sport. It's called sports entertainment. But I don't get why people just get like so up in arms when people say something is fake. It's like, okay. There's a lot more things that are like of more concern than whether your opinion on what I watch is fake anyway. So I just have that I don't really give a damn attitude when someone comes across like that. But that's my take on the whole Randy Orton versus Soulja Boy wrestling is fake. And then Bow Wow tells him he's running people scared. Like, dude, okay, don't get me started on little Bow Wow, all right? He tried to get into the acting game, did a couple of things, and then he was never to be seen again. And now he wants to get into wrestling. He wants to get into WWE. He better pray that he gets into NXT where he can be treated well. If he gets into the main roster, tweet me. If you're listening to this right now, pull out your phone while you're listening and tweet at either Jaydee Talks or at WrestleBread what Bow Wow's gimmick is going to be on Raw. If he's on SmackDown, he'll be a little better because we have Paul Heyman there. We got people there who actually, you have Daniel Bryan, stuff like that. People who have some type of authority to actually put out good gimmicks. But if Bow Wow goes to Raw, what will his gimmick be? Okay? I'm thinking mini crime time. Or he'll be chasing after the 24/7 title after a little bit. But tweet at me what Bow Wow's gimmick is going to be. The other big news, and this stems from AEW Dynamite, and I was going to talk about it once I got into AEW Dynamite, but this news had blown up because everybody's trying to figure out who's this mystery man. So Paul White comes out during AEW Dynamite. He talks about how he is going to be the commentator for their new show called AEW Dark Evolution. I didn't see when it's supposed to come out. I know it comes out Mondays, but I'm hoping it comes out at 7 if they're smart about it. And he comes out with a shirt that says "No More BS," which means no, I guess, no more Big Show. And he mentioned how, nobody expected this turn, huh? So, like I said, I'm very curious, especially with him putting out that shirt that says "No More Big Show." How he's going to act differently than the Big Show. I'm really interested to see what his gimmick's going to be in AEW because he's been the Big Show for 22 years. That's like The Undertaker going to New Japan and trying to be a different gimmick than The Undertaker. That's probably a bad example because we've seen him as American Badass and stuff like that. But trying to see someone who played the same gimmick for a very, very long time and then trying not to see them as that gimmick is going to be pretty hard. Because we've seen him. And it seems like when he was the Big Show, he was kind of like himself, especially when he was face. So I'm just very interested to see how there's going to be a difference. But then Paul White mentioned how people should tune in to AEW Revolution because there is going to be a signing, a new hire, someone with Hall of Fame worthy talent who is going to be a huge asset. Someone, I think he said someone, who's huge, who's going to be a huge and great asset to the company. And he said it's not who you think it is. But it's going to be a signing. So it sounds like there's going to be a segment with a contract signing. People, of course, immediately started going to Twitter. Some people said Kurt Angle, which is not going to be because Paul White said Hall of Fame worthy talent. So it's not a Hall of Famer. People was naming off. Someone said Cena, which isn't going to happen. Someone said The Rock, which isn't going to happen. A lot of names was popping off. Even I chimed in. I was getting into, who I think it would be. And I started looking up to see whose contracts had expired and stuff like that. So here's my theories, okay? So my first pick was Christian. Now, as someone mentioned that he may have signed a little contract with WWE. I don't know how true that is. But Christian isn't in the Hall of Fame. And it's really a damn tragedy that he is not in the Hall of Fame, seeing as though that Edge is in the Hall of Fame. My other one, because of what he said, and I'm going to explain myself after I say this name, Brock Lesnar. Now, hear me out. It would be very stupid of AEW to sign Brock Lesnar because AEW is growing, and they definitely need talent to, now that NXT has moved away from Wednesdays, AEW is going to have the opportunity to take people who would normally watch NXT on Wednesdays and tune in to AEW Dynamite. So they definitely need a strong star power, and they need to produce good enough shows to get people to watch the next week. Brock Lesnar will definitely be such a big draw for them. Unfortunately for AEW, Brock Lesnar has been spoiled with the contract that he had in WWE. He's getting paid full-time money with a part-time contract. He only shows up, a total of 4-6 times a year. He stands in the ring more than he wrestles. And I don't know, it's not going to work, first of all, Brock Lesnar by himself without Paul Heyman, because Brock Lesnar isn't that good at cutting promos. He's pretty much going to be a mute like Jake Hager, because he can cut some type of a promo, but to consistently cut a promo, it's not going to happen. AEW will be paying too much damn money for Brock Lesnar that they can definitely spend on someone else. However, Brock Lesnar is a free agent. He hasn't been seen on WWE for the past year. Maybe he could feel like, he needs to move on, but I highly doubt it's going to be Brock Lesnar, because Vince McMahon will be willing to pay and whatever money he needs to pay to keep Brock Lesnar around. Now, my third pick, and this is going to piss off a lot of people, and frankly, if this is who I think it is, it's going to piss a lot more people. I think it's going to be Paul White. I think this is going to be some type of heel turn, which is going to be the dumbest thing AEW is going to do, and they're going to turn away a lot of people. Because it's not like we're paying $10 for this pay-per-view. People are paying $50 and $60. I'm not paying for the pay-per-view, first of all. I'll find a stream. Damn that. Sorry, AEW, but I've been too spoiled with paying $10, $11 for a pay-per-view. And while though their pay-per-view is only but so often, and typically if I were to divide this $50 that I would pay, because they do a pay-per-view almost every 3 months, would be like maybe $15 a month or something like that. But, however, if I'm paying $50, I really want a great pay-per-view. And there are some matches, the pay-per-view has some pretty good matches, but it's not worth, truthfully, me paying a whole $50 for it. And if the mystery person is actually Paul White, that's going to piss off too many people. That's going to be a very, very bad PR. Very bad on AEW to make that big of an announcement and to not even deliver. Now, there's other people who were saying other names from outside of WWE. I know Coda's contract expired. They were saying Marty as well. They were saying other people from someone said Ethan Page, because his contract is up. And I don't think it's someone who is from other companies, because it's Paul White who made the announcement. And so I think it's someone who's coming from WWE or has a WWE background. I highly doubt it's going to be Zelina Vega. I don't think it's going to be Zelina Vega, because he said Hall of Fame worthy. He really pumped up the person. No offense to her. She's a lovely person, but I don't think it's her. I don't think it's that hyped up for it to be her. And I honestly, this may sound sexist, I don't think it's a woman at all, the way it got hyped up. I don't think it's a woman at all. I am interested to see who it is. Obviously, it's someone who's not in the Hall of Fame. And it's going to be a big name. Someone who is going to be a huge asset. But the fact that he said a huge star and a big asset, it might be Paul White. And if it is him, you heard it here first. Exclusive. So getting into the shows this week. First of all, Raw, it started off very weird, and then it got better and better as we continued on. First of all, in the words of Brody Lee, we did it! We got a new champion in Bobby Lashley. Can we talk about the real MVP, who is MVP? Ever since the Hurt Business came together with MVP, all three members have definitely, their stock has rose. We all remember this time last year, we had Bobby Lashley in one of the worst storylines in history with him and Lana. And now he is a beast. Before that, he was teamed up with Lio Rush with the bending over and showing his assets, literally. With the Lashley. Even though I did chant that when he won the title. But now he's dominant. He's a big force. This is the guy who we wanted to see when he first came on the scene, and people was, wanting him to go against Brock Lesnar. And from what I heard, he is calling out Brock Lesnar, which I don't think is the best of ideas, because whenever Brock Lesnar comes around, 9 times out of 10, he wants the title. However, we also had Cedric Alexander, who pretty much was chasing around the 24/7 title before he entered the Hurt Business. He was getting beat up by the Hurt Business, decided to join them, and then he's now tag team champion. And then Shelton Benjamin, who should have been a dominant force, seeing as though he was a roommate with Brock Lesnar. He had the segments where he would stand around and look around looking like a fucking weirdo and then slowly smile. I mean, it was great on Twitter. We definitely used that gif a lot, but it wasn't good for his character. And now here we are, March of 2021. One of the best factions right now in WWE is the Hurt Business. And I was a little afraid that they weren't going to end up as good as they were, because they started this feud with Retribution, and then they started getting into Raw Underground back when that was going on. Now, the whole show though, I normally am one of those people that'd be like, all right, let's let it play out. But when they was doing this whole, you have an hour, the hour comes, you have an hour. And I was sitting there like, yo, can we just stop playing the game and just say that it's happening at Fastlane? Like, them playing this whole 1 hour was getting very annoying, because like I said, we could have easily done a promo versus promo between The Miz and VP. Both men are very good on the mic. If we're going to be doing this at Fastlane, let's build it up a different way versus, 1 hour. But, however, the way things played out, they wanted to push it to the end of the show so that Bobby Lashley ends Raw as champion. First of all, The Miz was hilarious in this. Apparently, he was having stomach problems. He had diarrhea or some crap like that, literally. Who was it? Dave Mesler, I think it was, said that he actually did poop at himself at one point. Which I was like, I don't really need to know that type of news. I could take the fact that Miz's stomach was hurting on face value. You know what I mean? But The Miz was saying how he's sick, he didn't want to fight. Adam Pearce told him he got an hour. The Miz actually shows up after the hour. The bell rings. The Miz gets out of the ring, grabs his title, and runs the fuck out of there. I was dying when that happened. And normally I'm like, I'm not always the fan of the whole I'm gonna get myself counted out, even though it makes a lot of sense as a heel for them to just get themselves counted out, because why am I fighting you? So that was pretty funny. And then we had, they decided to do another match. This time was a lumberjack match, and The Miz tried to force a disqualification, but then Bobby Lashley was able to stop him from getting hit with the belt. The Miz then tried to run out of the ring, and he kept getting stopped by the lumberjacks. Eventually, the Hurt Business, started beating up on The Miz and ran him back into the ring. And then Bobby Lashley just started dominating. And he eventually put the Hurt Lock on The Miz, got the submission, and he won the championship. And so I'm sure there are people out there who say that they felt as though The Miz winning the title was a bit of waste of time. I say no. First of all, because the title had to come off Drew McIntyre somehow. And this all plays out very nicely, because they didn't want Drew McIntyre to lose his title, by actually getting defeated. Especially if we're setting up Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley here. It would make sense for Drew McIntyre to lose the title, with The Miz cashing in by Bobby Lashley attacking Drew McIntyre, and The Miz would be, of course, the person who will hold the title. I didn't expect him to hold the title for 8 days, but like I said, when people said it was a waste, on paper, he is a 2-time champion. And you have to really think about it. We have to take ourselves out of this whole, oh, it's a waste, he was only a champion for this many days, stuff like that. At least he's champion. At least he got a taste of being champion for 8 days, cutting the troll promos and stuff like that. Bobby Lashley never held that title, okay? Never won a major title, and there are a lot of other wrestlers who never won a major title. I am sure that they will be happy as all hell to hold the title for 8 days. And like I said, on paper, when we look at, who was former champions, The Miz can say that he's a 2-time former champion. Not only that, he said he's the first 2-time Grand Slam champion. Okay, so he will be in the history books on top of that. And truthfully, the Money in the Bank briefcase actually felt important since it was won last year. Otis had the briefcase and he turned it into a damn lunchbox. They had nothing. They didn't have any plan when they put it on. Otis, and so it made no sense for him to win it. I forgot who was in it in the ladder match that should have won it. Was it AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan? I forgot who was in the ladder. I forgot who was in the Money in the Bank match. Yeah. It was Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles was in the match because they fought in Vince McMahon's office. So yeah, it was a complete waste to put it on Otis. At least with The Miz, it actually worked. He cashed it in successfully. There are other people who won that briefcase and did not cash it in successfully. I'm looking at you, Damian Sandow. And so at least he cashed it in. It proved his point. He became champion. Doesn't really matter how long he had the title for. There are people who had the title for less than a day, if I'm not correct. If I remember correctly, there are people who had the title for at least a day, and then that was it. I remembered Daniel Bryan when he first won the title. He lost the title right away because Randy Orton cashed in. Let's see. Then there was Rey Mysterio had it for an hour. Randy Orton had it for 22 minutes. Roman Reigns had it for 5 minutes back in 2015. So, truthfully, does it suck that he only had it for 8 days? Yes, but it was for a bigger purpose, and that was for Bobby Lashley to win the title. People forget whenever plans change, you're taking the opportunity away from someone else. We all remember Kofi Mania, that we got started and that we won it. People forgot that it was actually Kevin Owens who was supposed to face Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. Kevin Owens probably was meant to win that title off of Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. But because of Kofi Mania, he was taken out of the match and Kofi Kingston was put in, and Kofi Kingston was the one who won the title. So, I say it's not really about, oh, it was a waste because he only had the title for 8 days, something like that. He got the title. He had it. He knew what it felt like. He could use that to, get motivation to win it again. But like I said, there are people who never held that title. Who, first of all, I'm about to get real deep. There are people who never held that title that is in the ground, okay? Never held that title. In the ground and never held that title. So for someone to hold it for 8 days, The Miz probably loved it. And he probably loved the fact that he is being used to give the title to someone who fought for a very, very long time to hold that title. So I'm completely fine with it. Let's see. What else happened? We also had Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus that happened in the beginning of the match. I was a little surprised that they had this happen on Raw, seeing as though we had a kind of a feud going on. I thought it would go on to Fastlane. I knew it wouldn't be a WrestleMania match. I had the thought, but I kind of figured it wouldn't be. I thought that it would be a pay-per-view match. I mean, it was a really good match. They beat the hell out of each other. But yeah, it was that. We also had Randy Orton, who was being interviewed, and then he was interrupted by Alexa Bliss, who did some weird shit again. She was sitting in the middle of the, she was sitting inside the Firefly Funhouse, and she had it looked like a Jack in a Box, and she whispered, "Bring it back," and then we see a figure with a hood, and, you know, I thought it would be the Fiend with whatever new mask he had, and come to find out, it's, Randy Orton, and it's a, evil Orton, and so he said on the video that Randy Orton will come face to face with everything he has ever done. And then Randy Orton started choking again because, you know, Alexa Bliss got more mystical powers, it looks like. We also had Charlotte Flair coming out. I'm a little confused about Charlotte Flair. People remember correctly, a week ago, Charlotte talked to her dad and told her dad to go home, and that she doesn't want to be known as Ric Flair's daughter. She wants to be known as Charlotte Flair. But yeah, she comes out on Raw with the Ric Flair robe, the Ric Flair music, and the Ric Flair woo. So I was a little confused at what it was that she's doing. Because yes, we know you as Charlotte Flair, but you definitely let us know that you are Ric Flair's daughter. I thought, and I don't know why I thought, that she would come up with like something new. But no. So she comes out because, you know, we all knew that the reason why she is around is because she is going after the title. Do I sound like a bit of a hater? Maybe, but I'm speaking the truth here. Charlotte Flair, we knew when Charlotte Flair came back and became tag team partners with Asuka that this was nothing but getting the title shot at WrestleMania, winning. Basically what happened with Asuka a few years ago when she won the Royal Rumble. And then Charlotte mentioned how Asuka got kicked in the face and she is concussed and we don't know when she's coming back. Shayna Blade, then she of course said that she wants to challenge Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. And then Shayna Baszler comes out and then we have a match between those two, but of course Charlotte Flair wins. I'm just very, very, very frustrated with the way Asuka has been booked. You have a women's champion that you don't use, but if you put that title on someone else, all of a sudden they're on TV lots of times. But yeah, just a lot of confusion. Let's see. That was pretty much that I remember. Going into NXT was a pretty good show. We started off, now last week, MSK was attacked by Birch and Lorcan, and I forgot who it was. I forgot the names, but he got injured, obviously with his hand. They had his hand trapped in a chair, it looks like, and he was injured. So then we had Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa, who challenged Birch and Lorcan to a match. Of course, it was not a title match, but we opened up the show with that match, and it was a pretty good match. I noticed, though, when Timothy Thatcher when Tommaso Ciampa was getting Timothy was speaking to one of the members of Imperium. So I don't know if we're setting up like an eventual turn with Timothy Thatcher, if he's going to turn on Tommaso and then we're going to get that feud again, or, you know, maybe Imperium will be the one that will turn on Timothy and we will get Walter to come back and I can get to hear and see the incredible entrance of Imperium as well. And hopefully when we get the fans back, the fans will sit there and sing along to the entrance like they used to. Now this was a pretty good match. We had Imperium, who then come out and stood there watching the match. Of course, the tag team champions won by pinfall. But very interested to see what is happening between Timothy Thatcher and Imperium, what that story is going to be like. We also had, first of all, we had segments with The Way. They went to therapy. Gargano and Candice wanted to go to therapy with Austin Theory and Indy Hartwell, Indie Wrestling, because of what happened with him and Dexter Lumis, and the fact that Indy Hartwell likes Dexter Lumis as well. These segments were pretty funny. A great way to kind of break up the wrestling and to kind of, make it, laugh about it and stuff. Austin Theory, who said that he was on, it was basically like he was on vacation and he enjoyed being locked up with Dexter Lumis. And Gargano, shouted for Dexter Lumis to be locked up. And he said that, Candice was like, being locked up in 3 days, is a horrible thing. And then Indy Hartwell, while she's doodling hearts, says, unless you're with the right man. And then, they wanted to find out, like, what happened when he was locked up for 3 days in the basement. And Austin Theory then revealed that, Johnny Gargano said he was locked up for 3 days and Dexter Lumis drew pictures of him. And I'm like, this sounds like a damn Hallmark Channel movie or something like that. No, not Hallmark, Lifetime. It sounds like a Lifetime movie plot or something. Gargano gets, very upset. He gets kicked out by the therapist yelling at him to get out. And then Austin Theory mentioned that, Dexter Lumis just needs a friend, and Indy Hartwell jumps in and says a friend with benefits, which I started cracking up at that. Then Gargano was texting Candice LeRae what to say, and she and Indy Hartwell gets kicked out. And then the therapist, sat there and said, it's just me and you. This is a safe space. What actually happened when you were kidnapped? And so Austin Theory said he had a great time. It was like a vacation. He said he was in the basement, the windows were boarded up, and he got to watch cartoons, and he ate a lot of cereal. And I'm like, damn, this sounds like straight up 90s, except for the boarded up windows part. But watching cartoons and eating all the cereal that you want, I'm like, that's the Saturday morning growing up. And so the psychiatrist said that she actually spoke to Dexter Lumis, and Austin Theory gets very excited and was like, really? He barely talks at all. And she's like, oh, I couldn't get him to shut up. And he said that you were the most obnoxious person in the world, and that your fashion sense is atrocious, and that, you have disgusting eating habits and stuff like that. And Austin Theory, oh, God bless him, started crying. And then he runs out the room like an episode of Degrassi. Oh my gosh, I was cracking up. And then Johnny Gargano comes in and goes like, what did you do to my friend? What happened? What did you do to my friend? And then he was like, you go ahead to the car. I'm going to yell at her. I'm going to give her a piece of my mind. And then Gargano comes in and says, that was great. Oh man, you did awesome. And he paid her, it had to be like maybe $500-$600. And then he takes back $100 as like arcade money. I'm sitting here like, how you gonna break 100 in the arcade, yo? And what arcade are you going to that you could break 100, first of all? But obviously this was nothing but a setup from Johnny Gargano to kind of get Austin Theory to kind of go back to normal and stop saying that it was a vacation when you get kidnapped. Because, kidnapping is a crime. Whether you think it was a good thing or a bad thing, getting kidnapped is technically a crime. We also had the women's tag team championship, of course, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. This was a pretty good match. I felt like it could have been more. And then we get to the ending. Raquel Gonzalez went to kick Nia Jax. She accidentally knocked out the referee. And then Raquel Gonzalez went to spear Nia Jax. They roll over on the table and fall on the floor. Dakota Kai and Shayna Baszler were left in the ring. Shayna Baszler goes to put on the Kudo clutch on Dakota Kai. And then we see Adam Pearce with a referee from Raw who goes in, checks on Dakota Kai, and announces that the match is over. Dakota Kai, that Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler won by submission. Which, on top of that, Dakota Kai was not even the legal person. So we have the match kind of end on a bit of a controversy, which I'm completely fine with. I figured that this, that the whole shot for the Dusty Rhodes Classic would have either been at Fastlane or WrestleMania. I highly doubted they was going to make it a whole WrestleMania thing. I'm pretty sure the WrestleMania match for the tag team titles might end up being a multi-tag match or something like that, like they did before. But I am kind of fine with the match ending this way, to kind of get more of a storyline between, especially with Raquel and Nia Jax. But I was sitting there like, of course, it's going to turn into a storyline instead of us actually getting a legit match and a legit winner with this. And if you haven't checked out episode 100, I talk about the booking with the tag team titles. My guys from Clark Street Wrestling, I think it was, who asked the question of how I would book the women's tag team titles. And I mentioned that the tag team titles on the main roster and how the tag team titles we treat at NXT would be two different things. With the main roster, the NXT tag team titles are basically storyline based, where in NXT it would actually be treated as if it was the NXT championship. And that's what we pretty much got here. It's turning into a storyline. It's going to be Adam Pearce versus William Regal or something like that. Especially the fact that he brought a Raw referee in. So we're going to have Raw versus NXT or something like that going on. But, I'm interested to see how this plays out. I would have preferred if this was the main event. Sort of to kind of get people to want to know what happens next and either tune in to Raw or tune in to NXT the following week. Instead, we had the ending with Finn Balor and Adam Cole, which is a match that kind of books itself anyway. You would tune in to see that match anyway, but I think it would have been better if it was the women's tag team title match that ended the show. And then we get a promo from Mr. LA Knight, and I still do not like that name. Him cutting his promo with his Batista-type glasses, he definitely sounds like Ric Flair to me, listening to him speak. But I'm interested to see what his, feud is going to be as well. So, going to AEW Dynamite. Now, I was pretty surprised that we actually went through with this match, with this tag team match with Shaq, Jade, Velvet Sky, and not Red Velvet. Is her name's not Velvet Sky. What the hell am I saying? Red Velvet and Cody Rhodes. And I am presently surprised Shaq looked really good in the ring. Was he completely perfect? No. It was fun though to watch him. He did a pretty powerful power bomb. He went through a table, first of all. But he looked pretty good in the ring. You could tell that there was a few things, a little bit of a hiccup, even with the women as well. Jade, I was a little confused with the women because they kept looking into that side camera when they were doing that figure 4 leg lock and then the reversal. Red Velvet looked right into the camera, and then I don't know. I just always find it weird when it feels like a when the match isn't really flowing right, because after every few moves the wrestlers stands there and then like stares into the hard camera and taunts. And that's what the women kept doing. So, and that really, I don't know, it really didn't make any sense to me. So that portion of the match wasn't as flowy as I would have liked for it to be. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty jumbled. I figured that they would do this at Revolution. I mean, you would want to get that star power to go to, you know, bring in more people to pay to see Shaq, especially the fact it's Shaq. You could have definitely got some eyes on it from the mainstream media, because there are a lot of people who spoke about Shaq being in the ring. So I thought it would be a better idea to make this the pay-per-view match. Unless it's Shaq who, well, no, it's not going to be Shaq who's the secret person. Because it's Hall of Fame worthy talent, and that wasn't Hall of Fame worthy talent that we saw on Wednesday. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised that that Shaq did pretty well. I am. I didn't expect him to be like Pat McAfee type good, but I was hoping he would be a lot better than Snoop Dogg as well. But it was a pretty good match. Let's see what else happened to highlight. We had that press conference too, which was pretty funny, of course. MJF and Chris Jericho on the mic is good. My only little thing about it was, you know, they started talking about Papa Buck and stuff like that. And then the Young Bucks come out. And then they stood there and cut a promo against each other. And I was just a little confused, because I'm like, these are the dudes that made your dad bleed. And you stand there and you cut a promo to them. So I thought it would make a lot more sense if maybe they came out and start trying to attack the members of the Inner Circle. Then you have the refs separate them, and then you cut the promo. But there was nothing between y'all except for space and opportunity. And the Young Bucks didn't take the opportunity. Look, if I was the Young Bucks, you made my dad bleed, and he sat there and did the Turkish death scene shit to the damn trailer, and, you know, you made my dad squirt ketchup on himself, I would do a lot more than cut a promo about it, especially if you call yourself being upset and you talk about the things that your dad did. I'm like, well, yeah, your dad did all this stuff, but his son's damn sure isn't defending his damn name. So yeah, that was my 2 cents. I was just very confused about that. I just didn't know why you don't come out and just start attacking people. And then we get this match, FTR and Tully Blanchard versus the Jurassic Express. Talk about nostalgic, a fun match. First of all, when I first read that he was going to be in the ring, I was like, get the fuck out of here. But then I said, then again, we do have Sting who's wrestling this Sunday, so anything is possible. I thought this was a fun match. There might be people out there who are a little upset about it, but first of all, this is a non-title match. 6-man tag. FTR, you know, can definitely say that they wrestled with Tully. You also had JJ Dillon out there. And I'm sitting here like, are we about to get the 4 Horsemen reunion? Because Arn Anderson comes out. He throws up the 4. I was like, look. And then we had someone who came out and attacked, I think it was Jungle Boy. Hit him with a camera. Come to find out is Shawn Spears. So it looks like we're getting a little bit of a 4 Horsemen 2.0. Which I'm not that up. I wouldn't be too mad about that. It just has to be the right people, truthfully. And it has to be booked right. But, oh my gosh. Look at Tully sitting there taking bumps. Then there was the part where he, I think it was Jungle Boy was on the outside. And, I forgot who it was from FTR that held the ropes open. And Tully go act like he was gonna go for a suicide dive. I was like, get the fuck out of here. You not doing that. And then, of course, he stopped and he started walking around taunting. But this was a fun match. It was. I didn't expect it to be, you know, I really didn't expect it to be fun. Because whenever you hear about someone that age who's going to be wrestling in a ring, you kind of don't really take it that seriously, but this was very entertaining. It was very entertaining to see Tully in the ring. And like I said, Tully got to say that he wrestled one more time. Probably the grands and the great grands get to see him in the ring. But FTR, that's the ones who's definitely going to, who are probably like so happy to have that match, to say that they got to wrestle with him. And you could probably even say Jungle Express got to say that, they got to wrestle Tully. But he was really good in that ring. And then we had the finals for the number 1 contender match. First of all, motherfucking AEW, there was the United States finals of Thunder Rosa versus Nia Rose, and they put that shit on YouTube. I'm very confused. You could have easily had done it, like, I don't get it at all. Why would you put a match like that on YouTube? And there was another match that they put on YouTube too. I think I forgot what's the other match that they put on, that they threw on YouTube. But Nia Rose won between Thunder Rosa and Nia Rose, which I was a little surprised about. And then we come to Dynamite and we get Nyla Rose versus Ryu Mizunami. I hope I pronounced that right. So the winner here will face Hikaru Shida. I don't know if it was at Revolution that she's facing her or not. Is it? I'm checking real quick the card. Yeah, so the winner of this match faces Shida at AEW Revolution. So I didn't really know too much about Ryu, but the beginning, she was doing a lot of the dancing and it gave me Asuka vibes, and I'm like, I really hope she's not going to spend much of the match dancing around. But then as the match continues to go on, it got better. I was completely shocked though that I thought Nyla Rose would be the one to win. But I'm fine with Ryu Mizunami get the win, and we get to see her versus Shida. Kind of gives something different. Something different with the women's championship match that is not always the same people going against Shida. And it would give a different flair too with the women's championship match. Because I'm sure not a lot of people know about Mizunami, and we get to see her definitely more likely put on a really good show. I miss when they had I think they're called the Joshi women, when AEW was starting out with their pay-per-views and stuff like that they had those women in the matches. I loved it. That was my first, that was my first introduction to those women. So, I was very intrigued by it, so I hope that we get to see more of that. Then we also had, at the end, John Silver and Adam Page versus Matt Hardy and Mark Quinn. Of course, this is the lead up to Adam Page versus Matt Hardy, the money match. And this is also showing how much John Silver loves Adam Page. I love John Silver. He was cracking me up during the match. There was this one part where he goes and hugs Adam Page, and it just feels like, the guy who wants the girl back, and she's like, easing him back into the friend zone, and he's just so happy to be in the friend zone. But this match, it was very high energy. John Silver is really good in the ring as well. This was the final match of everything. We had -1, who was adorable. When the Dark Order comes out at the end, because we had, I think it was Jack Evans who came out and attacked. He came out and attacked Adam Page afterwards, because John Silver and Adam Page won the match. Adam Page hit Mark Quinn with the buckshot lariat. won the match, and then Matt Hardy started attacking him with the mic. And no, that was Jack Evans. That was earlier with Jack Evans. And so then the Dark Order comes out and, helps out Adam Page. Negative One was standing at the that middle entrance area. And then everybody started coming out and attacking. And it was pretty funny watching Negative One react what? What are these guys doing coming out? What? And then he starts shrugging shows I guess this is how go home shows happen. If you never watched AEW Dark, you should definitely check it out. I did check out AEW Dark this past Tuesday. And they let Negative One. Negative One does a lot more on Dark than he does on Dynamite, which is fine because it's a YouTube show. He's not really taking away an opportunity from anyone. They let him do commentary, and he's pretty funny on commentary because he sits there and tells Excalibur to shut up. And he says, he'll say hell yeah and stuff like that, but he's pretty funny. And I really appreciate the fact that they really are taking care of him. That it's not just like a damn I can't talk right now. But it's not just like a one-off thing that they're doing this just because his father passed away and then a few weeks later that's the end of that. That you can see that the Dark Order and the company is really taking care of him, grooming him and stuff like that. And by the time he turns 18, if AEW is still around, and they're able to keep the relationship with him the way that he has now, he's going to be pretty good. Because not only is he, getting training and stuff like that, and he's, seeing how it is on commentary and stuff like that, he's seeing what's happening backstage. I'm sure he's seeing a lot more, of the going-ons with the company. And I think he's going to be pretty set wherever he decides to go. If he sticks with AEW, if he goes to WWE, if he goes overseas or whatever, I think he's going to be good. So going into my predictions for AEW Revolution, if you decide to check it out and pay money for it, God bless you. I hope this is a very good pay-per-view for you. On paper, I feel like this is going to be a pretty good pay-per-view. I realize I am missing a little bit of info. Who's going to be in this tag team Casino Royale? First, let's start off though with the pre-show match. We got Riho and Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker and Rebe. I think I'm gonna go with Thunder Rosa and Riho here. First of all, Riho is freaking adorable. And I know that people kind of get a little upset because she is only 98 pounds and she's able to really win matches, stuff like that. But, she's a very likable person. It's very hard to kind of go against, not really go against, but I guess boo someone like that. But I'm going to go with Thunder Rosa and Riho. Actually, even though I can see Britt Baker winning this match, that there's going to be some type of, something's going to happen to have Britt Baker win. And then it will continue on this feud between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. I am kind of surprised that we're not getting just simply Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker because we've been building this feud between them. But I'm guessing this feud ends at Double or Nothing. I'm guessing that's where the booking is going to take them. But I'm going to go actually with Thunder Rosa and Riho. I feel like I'm going to be wrong that Britt Baker is going to do something in order to win. But I'm just going to go with them for right now. So then we get the Casino Battle Royale. And boy, does AEW love their Battle Royales. I don't know. So far, these Royales haven't really been doing well for AEW. Now, I'm not quite sure if the winners get a shot at the tag team titles. I'm guessing that's what it is because I kind of missed that portion of the announcements. So if it is that, whoever wins gets a shot at the title, Let's go over who's going to be in it. So we have Bear Country versus 2 Dark Order tag teams, which is Alex Reynolds and John Silver versus Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. We have the Inner Circle of Santana Ortiz, the Butcher and the Blade, Private Party, and Top Flight. I would love for Alex Reynolds and John Silver to win. But I'm going to say, I have to think who's the tag team titles right now. Tag team champions right now. Ooh, it's the FTR. That's right. Because I would love for it to be Santana Ortiz, because Santana Ortiz definitely needs a title, man. They're really good in the ring. Same with Private Party. Private Party, they had a lot of potential when, we first started with AEW and things like that. And I was very excited to see where Private Party goes. And it just feels like that they're kind of there. It would be cool for, like I said, for Alex Reynolds and John Silver to win, one of the Dark Order tag teams to win. Dark Order is now face, but there are a lot of heel tag teams in this. I'm like, cause it's tough to call, because AEW likes to do, likes to pull out certain things, and sometimes, I feel like you can go with any tag team, truthfully. I'm just gonna go with Private Party. I have a feeling it could be Top Flight. I would love for it to be the Inner Circle, one of the Dark Orders. But I'm gonna say Private Party. I have a feeling that, like, maybe Matt Hardy's going to do something. And but I don't know. It won't make sense. Well, I mean, AEW don't do the face heel thing anyway, but it won't make sense for Private Party to go against FTR. True, in my head, it's not making sense. But I'm gonna go with Private Party. But if it's one of the Dark Orders or the Inner Circle, I will not be mad. After that, we have Miro and Kip Sabian versus Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. Miro cutted a promo during AEW Dynamite where he says that everybody's going to get what they want. He's bringing back the Beast. He started speaking Bulgarian, and it looks like we got, Rusev Crush type of personality coming back again. But I think Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor are going to win anyway. Even though I would love for us to see Miro / with the Rusev attitude come back, but I think it's going to be Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. Even though it cracks me up when Miro calls Chuck Taylor Charles. He sit there and say, Charles, you're a grown man. Stop playing these games. I was cracking up during that whole interview session with Tony Schiavone. After that, we have the AEW Women's Championship. Hikaru Shida versus Riho Mizunami. I'm going with Shida, because it would be weird for them to put the title on Mizunami, because she is from Japan, so it'd be kind of weird for them to put the title on her. So I'm going with Shida on this one. So then we come to Face of the Revolution ladder match, and I believe the winner of this match gets a shot at the TNT title. We have Cody Rhodes versus Scorpio Sky versus Penta El Zero Miedo versus Lance Archer versus Max Caster versus To Be Announced. Now, this could be someone from overseas. This could be Ethan Page. This could possibly be Shaq. Even though, if it is Shaq, it should be announced so that you can get people to actually tune in. But I have a feeling it's going to be someone, coming to the company that's not WWE. I think that's what we're getting here. I will be upfront. I will be mad if Cody Rhodes wins this match. I get like he's the biggest babyface in AEW and all that other good stuff, but damn, give it a rest, man. You can't. He's starting to turn into Triple H on me, yo. He already has the entrances down, but don't book yourself to put yourself over, man. You gotta give it to someone else. Yeah, whoever wins this match goes against Darby Allin. So I'm trying to think of who would have a good match with him. I mean, it's a lot of people. I mean, Cody Rhodes definitely could win the match. I have a feeling it's going to be Cody Rhodes, but I don't want it to be Cody Rhodes. I would go. I'm between Lance Archer and Scorpio Sky, but I'm gonna go to whoever the new announced the TBA is going to be, because that tends to be what the AEW does. It's, the person who comes into the match unannounced is normally who wins these matches. Even though I think it could be, I would like to pick Lance Archer or Scorpio Sky, particularly Lance Archer, because that would be a very interesting feud between him and Darby Allin. But I think it's whoever this TVA is going to be. Next up, we got the money match, Adam Hangman Page versus Matt Hardy. I'm going to go with Adam Page here. I have a feeling that Dark Order is going to come for the save. Matt Hardy is probably going to pay a lot of people to try to help him win this match. Because it feels like that's what we're setting up for. Matt Hardy has been spending all this money paying people just to beat up Adam Page. And I think Adam Page is going to win the match and then take whatever money Matt Hardy brings with him. So then for the AEW Tag Team Championship match, we got the Young Bucks versus Chris Jericho and MJF. I'm actually going to go with Chris Jericho and MJF here. I think them winning the title will definitely put them in the inner circle over a little more, and probably continue this feud with them and the Young Bucks. I have a feeling that they're going to continue. Wait, oh my gosh, I'm so dumb. I said FTR is the tag team champions and it's the Young Bucks. Duh. I'm having a moment here. Okay, well, I'm still going to stick with well, that could change my vote, because it could be the Inner Circle who wins, and then if MJF and Chris Jericho wins, then it could be that Inner Circle versus Inner Circle thing. I'll stick with my pick for right now. If it's wrong, it's wrong. It is what it is. So yes, the Young Bucks is the tag team champions. They won the titles off of FTR. I watched the match that they won the titles. Duh. Oh my goodness. But yeah. So, tag team champion match. The tag team champions are the Young Bucks, going against Chris Jericho and MJF. I'm gonna go with Chris Jericho and MJF. It would set up a very intriguing storyline if it's the Inner Circle who wins the that Casino Battle Royale, and it would have Inner Circle versus Inner Circle to kind of like put that little bit of tension between Santana Ortiz. Because if we're breaking up the Inner Circle, I think this is how it's going to slowly happen. That MJF is going to cause, cracks in the Inner Circle. So we already got Sammy Guevara, who's out. I think the Santana Ortiz may be next. So I'm going to go with Chris Jericho and MJF on here. So next up, we have the street fight. Sting and Darby Allin versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. I'm going to go with Sting and Darby Allin here. The real question is the over and under of how long Sting will be in the ring for. Because, he was a little bit gassed after them 2 moves. But this time, I forgot to mention AEW Dynamite. He was out in the ring and he did his, he got powerbomb again. No, he didn't get powerbomb. He was about to get powerbomb, and then Darby Allin came in. And so it's just a matter of how long Sting is going to be in the ring. I mean, he has Darby Allin, and we got the, the Grand Pop and the Grand Kid thing going on with Team Taz. I think Powerhouse Hobbs, he hasn't really been seen that often. He was there to distract Sting on Wednesday night, but other than that, we don't really see him. So I think it's going to be Sting and Darby who wins the match. Like I said before, the TNT Championship really does not need to be in this match. Nothing is really going on with Darby Allin defending his TNT Championship. So we really don't need the title in this feud, truthfully. Because we know this is going to lead to Darby versus Sting later on down the road. And you don't need the title for that either. So then we come to the main event. Which is for the AEW Championship, the exploding barbed wire death match. Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley. First of all, like I said before, AEW must got some really good insurance, or or there's something going on here, because barbed wire, you can bleed with barbed wire, but the fact that we got exploding barbed wire, if I'm not mistaken, I've seen this type of match before with the exploding barbed wire. Death matches are pretty brutal. If you really think that, first of all, if you really think that, hardcore matches are pretty brutal, wait till you see this type of match. These type of death matches exist in Japan and backyards. So for AEW to put this match on at a pay-per-view event, I don't know, man. That's a lot of risk that you're putting out there. Because Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley won't be seen for a little bit after this match. The way that they wrestle, because it's not like they're going to wrestle this half-assed. They're going to go all in, because that's the type of people they are. They're crazy. They're psychotic, and they love to wrestle. And so they're going to go all out with this match. The last time these two fought in a match, it was an unsanctioned match, and that match was pretty, close to the edge of being like, whoa, what the hell are you guys doing here? This match is definitely going to take it over the top. This is definitely going to be the match of the night. I'm saying that right now. And then this also goes into the whole is wrestling fake or real. Check out this match. If you want to question whether something is real or not, and I always mention this match whenever of how the most brutal match I've seen. I know there are other matches that are more brutal, but as far as you could kill this person, the Mankind versus The Rock, that I Quit match in 1999, Mankind taking 11 fucking chair shots to the head unprotected. There's nothing fake about that one. Now, getting back to this match, which I think is crazy that AEW is doing something like this. But, they're putting a lot of trust in the fact that Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley aren't going to get seriously injured in this match. I am interested of how AEW is going to put together this exploding barbed wire match, because I saw wood and I saw barbed wire attached to it. So I don't know how. It's not what I remember seeing an exploding barbed wire match look like. I forgot where I saw it at. It was definitely a match from Japan. And I forgot who was in the match, too. But I remember seeing it. At one point. An exploding barbed wire death match. I was looking up death matches for some reason. I may have been going down the YouTube hole at that point and decided to look at death matches. But yeah, that's nothing to play with. Now, as far as who is going to win, I'm going to go with Kenny Omega here. I think, because the last time they fought, Jon Moxley won, if I'm not mistaken. And I think this is all about the cleaner. We are seeing the new Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega doing what he does best, and that's put on good-ass matches. Or 5-star matches, if you're Dave Mesler. Overall, I think this is going to be a good pay-per-view event. I feel like there's going to be some lows. I think that Casino Battle Royale is going to be too fun to watch. I think, unfortunately for Miro, I think his match isn't going to be that fun to watch. The main event, of course, have a lot of star quality. The Sting match is up in the air. That match could go any type of direction. It could be a good surprising match. I'm telling you right now, I have low expectations for a Sting match. So if I come here next week saying how pleasantly surprised I am, then you know why. We got SummerSlam. We got SmackDown coming up this Friday. Can you tell that I may have been drinking a little bit of wine before I started doing this episode? I have the wrong tag team champions. I'm sitting here saying SummerSlam. We're not even in spring just yet. But getting into with SmackDown, we had Daniel Bryan, who is trying to get his title shot and is ending up always short. Now, he had his title shot at Elimination Chamber when the Tribal Chief whooped his ass. And then he got the chance to get a title shot at Fastlane if he defeats Jey Uso. And the match ended in a count out. And I said, here we go again, circa 2014. Now, truthfully, Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns feud is going to be a really good feud. I am interested to see if they're going to try to pull this off at Fastlane, even though I feel like they can pull this a lot longer. Obviously, we're getting Edge versus Roman Reigns at Mania, so it's a matter of what's going to happen at Fastlane, which is probably going to be Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. We also have it official. It's going to be Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks at WrestleMania, and a lot of people are asking for it to main event night one, which I kind of hope it will main event night one. We never got two African American women going against each other for a title match at Mania before. These two women are incredible. First off, it's night one and night two, so you know it's not going to be like the true main event. But I am completely down for Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. I let it be known right now, if they are the main event, I'm thinking of recording my reactions to the matches at WrestleMania. You might see a girl cry because it's, as a woman, a black woman, I got teased a lot for watching wrestling. Because, it's not something that you see a lot of other black women do. Normally I'm supposed to be like into boys and makeup and all the other crap. And I wasn't. I rather play video games and climb trees when I was growing up. And so seeing, people who represented me, getting that big of a chance to shine, to like main event one of the WrestleMania nights, that's going to be really special. Kind of like, not really that it's all worth it, but all, me watching wrestling and sticking to wrestling, stuff like that, it actually means something. It's not for guys or something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's for everyone. We also got a new Apollo Crews, first of all. I'm very interested to see this whole, the real African American. Speaking of Black history, the real African American, he is the Prince of Nigeria. And no, he's not that prince that sit there and tell you that he has a lot of money that he wants you to hold real quick. It's all because of Big E. Big E giving him that sick burn. And I said, I wonder how Apollo Crews was going to, recover from that big ass burn that he got when Big E told him to go back to catering. And so he comes back, he sat down and thought about it real long and hard and realized that he is a real African American. He comes from a lineage of his dad with his 5 wives, or his grandfather, I think it was, with his 5 wives. That he is actually a prince. He's from, he's Nigerian descent and stuff like that. And I was like, and I mentioned this before, you all remember when Apollo Crews was sitting there talking to the tribal chief, he probably sitting there like, I got ancestors. He probably came up like Billy did to God when The Rock's promo. Hey, tribal chief, my name is Apollo, and I'm a descendant as well of people who are, prince and princesses. And Roman sat there and told him, sit your ass down. And, Paul Heyman told him, pulled up a chair. That's your chair to sit down in. And then Roman Reigns, tell him, this is how you act as the head of the table. If you're the head of the table, your family, as long as you don't disrespect me, this is how you do it. And you need to stop fucking smiling all the time. And it seems like Apollo Crews took his notes, went home, studied, and he's ready for the exam. I'm interested to see how this is going to go long term. We're going to see, looks like Apollo Crews versus Big E, probably at Fastlane, maybe at WrestleMania, who knows. And then we also get Tamina, who is a little bit more dominant. Now, I don't know if she is, going to be joining the Tribal Chief, and we're going to get the Tribal Clan going or something like that. I did make a joke on Twitter that if Apollo Crews and Roman Reigns team up, they could be called the Tribal Council. That's my little corny ass joke of the day. But yeah, Tamina was very dominant, so it looks like we're doing something with her as well. Don't know if she's going to be teamed up with the Tribal Chief. I know a lot of people are mentioning for a female to join the Tribal Chief. I'm still interested in what's going to happen when Jimmy is feeling better and comes back. If he's going to join the Tribal Chief, and if he joins, then what happens with his wife Naomi? I don't know. If she's going to stop teaming up with Lana and actually, do something with her wrestling ability, I don't know. And it's still being said that Cesaro is still swinging Seth Rollins around in the wrestling ring. Seth Rollins and Cesaro came face to face. Rollins wanted Cesaro to join forces with him. Cesaro said no and did the Cesaro swing, and he swung little Seth Rollins for a very, very long time. Seth Rollins had the mic in his hand, and that was pretty funny because he was like, no, and you hear him go, ah, as he's being swung around over and over again. But I am interested to see what's going to happen next as far as with SmackDown between Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair. Seems like we're going to get an eventual heel turn from Sasha Banks because Bianca Belair doesn't really know how to play the heel as well. From what I have seen in NXT, she is better suited as a face because she definitely is, especially when she won the Royal Rumble. So she has to be the face of this feud. So eventually Sasha Banks is going to turn heel. Sasha Banks is very good as a heel. Anyway. And then we're going to see how Carmella comes into all this. For all that is good in the world, I will fucking flip out if this shit turns into a triple threat match at WrestleMania. Don't do it. If you want Carmella involved, she can face Sasha Banks at fucking Fastlane. Don't throw her ass into WWE. And I feel like now that I've put that shit out into the universe, it's a possibility it can happen. But, to the WWE insider who listens to my podcast, whoever you are, don't do that shit. If you want Carmella, she can face Sasha Banks at fucking Fastlane. Carmella had her damn title shot, like three times, maybe? No. Let this shit be a one-on-one match, okay? Let us get what we want. We want Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. We want it to be main event of night one. And like I said, I've said this so many times, whenever the fans get what they want, Vince makes us pay, okay? And I was very afraid at WrestleMania 35 when we had Kofi Mania, we wanted Seth Rollins to win, we wanted Becky Lynch to win. I said, I highly doubt we're going to get all three because Vince hates to give the fans what they want. We already fucked up his plan with Kofi Kingston getting thrown in there. We fucked up his plan with Becky Lynch. I was like, I don't know. And maybe Seth Rollins is losing. So when I saw Seth Rollins won, I was like, oh man, it's either we don't get Kofi Mania or we don't get Becky Lynch. And so when we got all three, I was like, all right, Vince McMahon's going to make us pay. He is. And so I'm just really hoping that we just get all that we want, and we'll see how he's going to make us pay. But I'm really hoping that it's a one-on-one match. Just, please, just keep it a one-on-one match. No triple threat match. Okay. So that's it for the WrestleBread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We have AEW Revolution coming up this Sunday. And we also have I think it was a UFC that's coming up Saturday as well. I don't follow UFC that as close as I used to when we had Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor in there and everything. But I'm hearing it's something good, so I might check it out. Who knows? Shout out to Julian Rob Bates from Wrestling Court Podcast and AlternativeMinds.com. Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show. Chris from We Talk Next Podcast, which is featured on the Keita and Jay Show. Nando and Larry from Half K Podcast. Devin Afees from Clark Street Wrestling. Also, shout out to Straight Talk Wrestling Podcast and Dirty Heels Podcast as well. And I'm going to be throwing in more names eventually as well. Coming up next week, we'll be live next Thursday, 9 p.m. with the review of AEW Revolution. I'm also going to pop up on YouTube too with a quick review. I'm probably going to try to do that Monday or Tuesday. So keep a lookout for on the YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe on the YouTube channel as well. I was 5 people away, but some people unsubscribed. And now I'm down to 8 people. So please subscribe and stay subscribed. I mean, it's not going to hurt you to be subscribed to the channel. If you don't want to get notifications, just don't hit the notification bell. But please hit the notification bell so you can know when the episodes are coming out. Be sure to hop on Twitter and follow me at Jaydee Talks. That's JAYD Talks. Follow the podcast as well. At WrestleBread, you can also find the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Like I just said, I have a TikTok channel at Jaydee Talks. I think I put the link in the Linktree description. If I didn't, it will be up there by Saturday. Actually, it'll be up there by Friday. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about AEW Revolution, your picks of who's going to win and everything like that. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, guys, peace.